testing out the new camera. Haven't used it at all yet. So it comes with a remote. That's kind of nice. I didn't know that GoPros had that. My GoPro that I've had forever, which I haven't even been using on this channel, I've only been using my phone. It was a Hero 3 White Edition, so very, very limited. And so scoring this one up, hopefully I can make a little bit better video. To start the day off, we're actually going to start cleaning the shop. I don't have my mufflers. The exhaust is, you know, coming along, but I'm to a point where I really need to have the mufflers, and they won't be here till Tuesday. So I'm gonna clean up the exhaust mess, and I think I'm gonna get on the roll cage. We'll see. I'm going back and forth. My dad's gonna help me next weekend on roll cage, but I kind of want to have a plan before he gets here. Other things I need to do are try and finish the battery box, or I need to build a battery tray, and I also need to do the Airbox under the hood. So there's those couple items. I might focus under the hood, try and get the ECM mounted, fuse block mounted, stuff like that, and get it closer that way, and then maybe next weekend we'll just be dedicated to doing the roll cage. So anyways, just trying this camera out and see how it goes, and yeah, we'll get to work. Okay, so what we got going on here, I was gonna build my airbox around this side, which would have been really nice to do, but I'm running into an issue. I gotta fit a battery up in here somewhere, and I have to fit the tack module for the gas pedal, fuse block, and the ECM. And I'm just running out of room under the hood to put all those things, and I can't, those plugs are so big that I can't get them through like the firewall hole. And so I wanted to make the nicer, cooler air intake, but I can't. And so I think I'm gonna end up having to just have the filter under the hood and do something different there. All right, so I think what I'm gonna do here, this battery cable was going to be an issue, but it's actually, it runs all the way underneath the engine, so I can take it loose, reroute that wire underneath, bring it up on this side. I can have that jump start box over on this side. I'll have to extend one wire over to the alternator, which is fine. The wiring harness will actually lay back around itself. I should be able to put this fuse block up here on the firewall, tuck the wiring down behind, and then I have to modify this mount, which this is just the factory mount out of a 2004 Tahoe. I think I can trim a lot of it off and just build a couple of tabs that come off the firewall, and then nutsert those and bolt this to that, where the ECM will sit up on the firewall, kind of kitty corner there. Both dipsticks will just clear the computer. That'll be good. And then I believe there will still be enough room to put the air intake where I was planning on, put that elbow back on, bring it over here, have it sit, and then the battery will actually fit down here. And with the battery cables moved over, then everything should fit here just fine. Originally I was gonna put the battery over here, but that is just too tight of an area. It'll set the battery really high, and trying to work on the steering box would be kind of a nightmare. So I believe that's the route I'm gonna go, try and reroute that harness a little bit and get everything settled to the back, get the computer mounted today, and then I'll work on the Airbox. And then this is actually the battery tray out of that same Tahoe. And over here, I believe I can actually mount it, build some solid mounts up off the frame that won't interfere with anything else. If I do coilovers or whatever, it won't interfere, and then I can use a factory battery hold down, the little plastic block with a bolt, and get it strapped in place so it can't move. But then everything's located and has a place under the hood, and I can start working on getting, finishing things up, the exhaust, and get some lines ran. I don't know that I'm going to plumb it yet for fuel, just because I know this engine runs. I started it on an engine stand, so I don't really want to get fuel in everything and have to tear everything apart and tear it back off. But we'll see. Getting to the point where it's exciting to do stuff like that, and I might end up doing it just because it's fun. I did find I have another brake pedal down there on the floor, and I believe that was actually a clutch pedal out of a Chevy square body, but I think I'm going to use part of it, because it has a nice arch to it, to rework that brake, because I don't like that big adjustable brake. And then we'll figure out a different pedal. I can probably just find a factory brake pedal at the junkyard. So I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, I think I'm just going to focus on some of this smaller stuff. The small stuff adds up to big stuff. Try and get this stuff done, so when I do get the big stuff done, I get all excited. Then I don't have to worry about, oh yeah, I still have to do all the little stuff. So anyways, I think that's our game plan for the day, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I kind of had a bonehead move there, which I still have enough material to change it, but I cut and tapered those real nice to fit that. The problem is those need to go the other direction. So I need them to sit this way instead of this way, because this is going to go to the firewall and then I'll bolt into it. So I just got to retrace those and cut them a little bit different. Honestly, I don't even have to do that, but I'm going to. It'll look better. So yeah, bear with me. Alright, that's better. So now this is this side. I gotta trim this little bit of plastic off still too, but these will fit nicely there to the firewall. They'll hide behind this plastic bracket for the most part. It'll give a nice air gap behind it, and then having this hole right here where the hood and fender don't cover, that'll actually give good ventilation to this computer to keep it cooler, and hopefully we don't fry anything. So we'll try to keep our electronics as cool as we can. But I think this is going to work really well. Get that set up on the firewall, and then I'm going to try and, I don't know how I'm going to do it for sure. I might just have to wait until I get the body back off, and then when I put everything back together, I need to make sure to tuck this wire loom down behind the intake. There's a bit of a void right there between the intake and the firewall. That way I can hide it, and then this fuse block will be just right up here on the firewall, easy access. That fuse block controls just the engine, and then the tack module, which is right here, that goes with the electronic throttle pedal. So that needs to be mounted up somewhere too and kept up kind of away from heat and keep it safe. So that's our goal anyway. But I think this is actually going to work out much better than I originally thought it was. I'll be able to loom up a couple of these wires, clean it up so it won't be so ugly. LS engines, they're great engines. They are not pretty. Those intakes are ugly. I do have an intake cover for it. But yeah, they're not pretty, so we'll try to doll it up as much as we So that's the part that'll bolt to the ECU mount, and then these holes that go that direction, I'm actually going to put riv nuts in the firewall to hold those on there all the time. That way it's all removable. But I think that'll be as good a mount as I can get. It actually fits in a decent spot up out of danger, so we're going to roll with that. Yeah, let's get that part done. All right, so I traced lines in here. This is the outside of that plastic. That plastic's it's thicker than an 1/8, maybe 3/16. So I'm actually gonna transpose that line in a bit further. So I need a line top and bottom. Let's do this, get myself a mark to go off of. There we go. We'll go in that far to set our other stuff. Let's see. That's a better way to do it. So, right there and right there. Those are our ends. So I don't end up putting these in too far. I gotta get them set in there so I can drill the firewall. That one goes. That's that side of this one. Okay, so we need this one here. Boy, that's kind of difficult to get where I need it to be. Going from underneath here. That's better, I can see it. Okay, I like that one. Now let's do this one. This one's a little easier because I can actually see. Sorry about that, the battery died right as I was marking out those last holes. So I went ahead and finished those without you. We're gonna get these holes punched. dang thing walked on me. We got her back. Okay. Got our pilots. It's actually my dad's riv nut tool. He's never used it. He brought it down, so I bought a package of 100 riv nuts for 1/4 inch bolts, and I'm gonna use it a lot on this project. Okay, let's slap some riv nuts in there. I really like this tool. It's way better than trying to reach around this firewall and put a nut in there so that I can weld it in. Stuff that's light duty like this, these will be just fine. Like sealing or installing floor pans and covers and stuff like that. I'm just gonna do these same things too, because it's nothing structural. Anything that is strong structure-wise, I will definitely weld nuts in. But these are super handy. I got online to look for riv nuts because the tool came with like 5 of this size is all it. So I got online and it was only like $3 more for 100 of them than it was for like 10 or 20 of them. So I figured I might as well just order a whole bunch and then we're set for quite a while. And just like that, those are in. Now let's just hope that the holes line up. I gotta grab some bolts. Alright. There's the bracket. So, make sure we put the right one on the right side. This goes like that, like that. That's our top. Okay. I know my bolts are too long, but I went to buy a box of 100 of 1/4 by 3/4, and they didn't have them. They had 1/4 by 1. Sorry about that. I had a phone call come in. That might end up being an issue, trying to tighten those on that bracket, but we'll see. We're just test fitting for now, and we'll need some shorter screws is all, so I'll get some shorter ones for that if need be, but I just want to see if this thing will somewhat work, because in my mind it should work very nicely. Probably want to get some 1/2 inch long ones for these anyway, so they don't stick in so far into the firewall. If I run a heater back there or something, I don't know, maybe it'd be good. That way I can use the threads and just bolt everything on these. We'll see. There we go. Oh boy, that is nice. You know what I didn't do? I didn't drill the holes in the plastic. That was dumb. Yeah, why is that separated so far? That doesn't make any sense at all. Oh, I went off the wrong line for that top one. The bottom one's fine. That top, well no, that's where I want it, on the top one. Yeah, looks like I'll be drilling and bumping those down. Stupid. Oh well. Yeah, I really don't know what happened there. I must have traced, that's what happened, is I had the marks on the outside and I traced to the inside of this, but I was thinking I traced to the outside. So then I bumped in for the thickness of the plastic. That's about the distance for a double plastic. I nailed that if I would have had the right lines. Oh well. Good thing is I have a welder. You know what, actually, it might not be a bad idea. I have some like rubber foam. Boy, I'm gonna have to bolt this bracket onto this and then put the whole works in when I do it for final, because I cannot get down in there to tighten those bolts to take the bracket off of that, which is fine. We'll make that work. I'm thinking about getting some foam and giving this thing, get rid of some vibration. I can put those pieces of dense foam between the two sides and bolt it all together. I think that's gonna be the ticket. That way, less vibration means less problems, right? Hopefully. Okay, for time being, I'm gonna have to, I'll get that foam, but for right now, it's just gonna be another thing to fight in there, and I don't really need to. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just take this out, I'll drill the plastic, get the bolts in the right locations, and I'll just kind of suspend the bracket between those two brackets and get it set roughly where it'll be. And then when I do final install, that's when I'll foam it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be dropping those pieces like crazy, and it's gonna be a pain in the butt. So we'll go this route. I do have to say, I'm really liking having this new camera, and the fact that it has the remote on the wrist, so starting and stopping is much easier. I really like it. Good purchase, A+. Okay, that one sit right there. Okay. Of course I don't have anything that fits down in there. Oh. We'll use the old micrometer and get us some distances here. Alright, well, let's give that a quick drill. Get a smaller drill bit. Alright, got us a smaller bit. Of course, can't fit it in where I need to, so that's fun. Maybe I should do it with a bigger bit and then just use a washer. Give me the drill back. Ooh, good thing I didn't oversize because I can't fit washers in there anyway. There you go, we get a couple more bolts. So, we got those 2 holes drilled. Neat, neat. I'm gonna ream those out a little bit. They're just dragging enough to make me angry. That again. Oh wow, that's gonna be way better. I'm sitting here doing all this stuff and you guys can't even see me. I'm hiding. There we go. Not that I'm much to look at. I mean, watching a blank screen while somebody talks in the background isn't really that fun. I'm not an audiobook. Hey, we're getting somewhere. I wish this factory bracket would have been just a little bit taller. Give me a little bit more room for these bolt heads, but it's working. There's just enough. Okay, so that one's good. Now let's take the one off the firewall. And we'll map it out, get it, figure out where it goes. Did I mention how much I love these rib nuts? Coolest thing ever. When you work by yourself, anyway. Alright, so that needs to go that way. I really wish I had something to shove down in there and make a mark. I wonder if this drill bit will work. Ooh, I think we're onto something. Yeah, that one I can see. Oh, there's the other one. All right, that kind of worked. Give her a try. Don't do this. Don't use your $800 tire as a drill press. Okay. All right, so this goes this way. Do you look like our holes lined up? Oh. Kinda. That mark that I saw wasn't exactly the right spot, but it's close. Really don't love its location, but that's where it has to be. So that's where it's gonna go. I'll have to do a little trimming on this plastic. Actually, let me do that right now. Otherwise the bolt's not gonna go in very well. Hang tight. All right, that'll work a little better. So let's bolt this thing on here loosely. Let's bolt on loosely. Yep. Okay, tighten this one up a little more. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Let's see if we can get this all to fit. All right, don't know why I didn't video it. I got this cool new camera to use, but I went ahead and put the air intake back on where it was, just to check clearance. And we got clearance for days. And that'll actually help, because I was talking about building a shield for the ECM. Well, the Airbox come down in the front, that'll block the ECM from weather. So I think that'll all be part of the same deal. But yeah, that'll work fine there. And then, you know, the wiring, obviously got to tuck that still. But it's amazing how much more room I already see in here, because the top of this engine has been just cluttered with everything this whole time, just had it thrown in on top. So having that ECM located is really awesome right now. Next, I think I'm gonna start working on this battery tray. The thing I like about putting it on this side versus the other side is the other side, we got a steering box in the way. And so I was gonna have to go over top of it. But over here, I got lots more room. I'll probably bump it up. I need to measure the battery, see how tall it is. That gives me enough clearance over my radiator hoses and stuff. Not a lot, but some. I'll trim off this tab in here. I'll try to get it set pretty much inside of that fender and hopefully not in the way of any future coilovers. But yeah, this tray, I think I can get it to fit in here decent enough and be able to lock that battery down and have it mounted down low so it's not up high. Trying to keep the center of gravity of this thing as low as possible. And you know, I don't even know how heavy a battery is. They're not light, but having that up high just makes it worse. That's why we did aluminum hood, aluminum fenders, and yeah. But yeah, let's start figuring out that battery. That'll be pretty awesome. All right, well, my green Jeep has an Optima battery in it. I'm probably gonna go Optima on this one too. So I have the old one that came out of my Jeep that shorted out. It's 7 3/4 inches to the top of the posts. There we go. And that's a side terminal battery, so I do have to keep that in mind. But let's just call it, we'll give it at least 8 inches and make sure that we don't put it up under anything metal. 8 inches tall. Okay, we've got, let's just call it a foot of room under here. So we'll be all right there. I can set this box up, you know, a couple inches higher right there, like I was thinking. And that'll give me a couple inches above, so I don't have to worry about anything getting on it. Cool. All right, well, I kind of forgot. I get into the zone and forget to video, so I'll catch you up to speed. Not much has happened. You saw I had the air already kind of put back in there. I got the little fuse block. It's just got some self-tappers holding it to the fireball right now. I need to get some smaller, like 1032 screws, and I'll nut-cert those as well. But just to get it there, that's what I did. I'm going to cut an aluminum plate that goes behind the tack module, and that way I can get that third bolt, and those will all be nut-certed to where it can be fastened to the firewall. Right now I'm working, I ended up bending up some pieces, so this will get trimmed out here. This is going to overlay the fender, and I've made another one that's going to overlay the fender here. So those will wrap up and over this tubing, and I'll actually secure it down. There's a 1/8 inch thick aluminum plate down here. That's why the one's so big, so I can span all the way across and I can get a nutsert in there. This one over here, it's probably just gonna nutsert into the tube. Hopefully that works, but we'll make something work there. So I got the my buddy's welder fired up. It's the one set up for aluminum. So I'm gonna throw a few tacks on this piece, and then I'll try and get a couple tacks on this one as well. And I'm gonna have to build a little filler piece there. I cut that too far, but I also have to build the top piece that covers, and I gotta build a lot of things. So that's where we're at. I'll get these tacks put on there, and I don't need to trim that piece quite yet. And we'll start shaping this thing so we can get it mounted. Okay, so it's sitting there. It's not tight by any means. This was a used coupon. I plan on trimming all that off, so I didn't really care too much about it. But that's our flat braces, and then I think, I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it, if I'm gonna make the bottom of the box go underneath these, so these are inside the airbox, or if I'm gonna skin over these because they're kind of ugly. But I didn't have any more 1/8 inch thick material. That's what these are. This is all 1/16, and I wanted something a little bit stronger so all this stuff bouncing going down the road doesn't start to bend the box. I wanted a little bit more rigid, but I think it's gonna work out all right, especially once I get that bottom plate on there. And then there'll be no top plate for it and no face plate. I just got to do a bottom, and then I'm going to do a piece that's this same radius as the filter, but it's going to come in from the top, and I'll have a couple nutserts there where you can actually bolt the seal piece together there, and then that way it'll draw. That's why there's this arch back here, is that will actually draw from behind the fender where the air is cleaner. At least that's the thought process behind it. It's much cooler no matter what, and that way I'm not pulling as much engine heat with it. Alright, we're going to do a quick test fit on this and just see how close it sits up to the hood. I'd already test fitted it before. I think we're going to be just fine, but I want to double check. That's actually perfect. With these rubber strips across the top, it'll seal to the bottom of the hood nicely. I'm very, very happy with that fit. Cool. So I'll get to work on doing that bottom plate. Drag out my skill saw. I've got a sheet of aluminum, but it's all right. And we'll get this all cleaned up, get that bottom welded on, and probably drill and get our nutserts in to hold it all. We'll be laughing. Yeah, it's gonna work. Okay, so I decided I'm going to basically bend and break this piece to fit inside this box. It's not going to wrap clear up on top of the fender to where I'd have a gap there. It's going to wrap just up above the flat side, and then I'll bend it in between these two to where it can seal against the fender and keep the dirt from underneath in the fender well, keep the dirt from getting up into the box. When I put this all back on for the last time, I'm probably going to silicone that seam too, just to be sure. So this will be our bottom pan. Just fits in there, but I do have to make a 90-degree break and then a little bit of a roll. So let's do that real quick. That was at 5 3/4, I do believe. Yeah, 5 3/4. This one's showing 5 1/2. I guess it's not at the same spot though. Now it looks like I need to cut these tacks and move that back a 1/4 inch. So we'll do a 5 1/2. And we'll make that one fit. We'll throw a 90-degree on this. By the way, I'm still very happy that I built this brake. I haven't used it a whole lot yet, but the little bit that I have, it has been so nice. I had that baby quite right. It broke nice and sharp here, but this side's awful loose. I think I didn't have my stuff. Yeah, that's what's going on. That squared it up. There we go. Kind of finicky, but didn't cost as much as buying one. Kind of overbent it a little bit. Alright, I'll close a couple corners off real quick so they'll fit in there alright. Okay, so that worked there. This will work here. You can see the gap here. I didn't measure that at all. I just kind of set it up there where it felt square in the fender well. So yeah, I think I'll just, well, of course I welded that, but it's easy grind. I'll cut those two off, move that back tight, and then I'll try and work on this. And actually I can trim that, or cut it right now. I can trim the rest off. We'll have some nice tight fit. Actually, that one has to stay. I gotta move this one. Yeah. This one, that's where it meets up on the fender. So this one's gotta, I gotta cut those 3 tacks, which is actually probably easier, and move them out. But now my bottom pan's too small. What can I do? I'll figure it out. Alright, so I pounded it back flat with a hammer and re-broke it at 5 3/4. We didn't have to cut another one, that's good. This way to start with. I really didn't know what I was doing. But now I know, well, now I still don't know what I'm doing, but I have a direction. So, let's see what we can do with it. Oh, that's gonna be so nice. Yeah, that's much better. Before I go welding that bottom in, I'm going to try and shape it. I need to nip those two corners just a little bit too. There we go, that was just there. I wish aluminum was magnetic. This is annoying. Now that will work too. Okay. Well, we'll drop some stuff on the floor and then we'll go over to the welding table. All right, now got a little bit of Shannon Campbell going on there. I watch his videos a lot to try and figure out how to do some stuff. So it's pretty cool that he's doing a build on a Jeep right now, as I am. Anyways, I got that somewhat welded. I need to finish welding it, but I wanted to weld it up and get it strong enough to be able to set it in and see how it fits. I got to do a little reshape on these and trim corners and whatnot there, do a little bit of weld across here, and then each side and the bottom of the pan. And then I'll worry about mounting this down. But it fits actually very, very well. I'm very happy with it. And yeah, then I got to build this cover piece that goes right there as well. But the airbox is just about done. I'm going to drill a couple holes in the bottom of it for to let loose dust and water out, and other than that, she's pretty well good to go. So yeah, some trimming, some welding, and that one little piece, and then I got to figure out how I'll probably just have to nip these corners out on here so that I can make this weather stripping bend around that. So all right, there was a whole bunch of the same welding, grinding, cussing, because thin aluminum and not an experienced welder, but I learned. Anyways, so this is what we got. Kind of got it trimmed up, and the airbox fits actually really nice, sits there really well. I still have to build this end piece like I talked about, and I gotta build a little filler piece that goes in right here. I don't want that gap there, so I got to do that, but that's minor. This piece here is pretty small, and then, like I said, trim the edges off and put the stripping on it and get it mounted. But I'm to that point, I can mount it, which is pretty exciting. Now, once I get that done, then I'll start working on this battery tray, and I'm hoping that doesn't go too bad. I don't think it will. I gotta look a little closer. It's really close to the fan, and so that's what is gonna make me the most nervous. I think I'm gonna try setting just a battery in there and see how it fits, how much space there is. Might not be able to use that tray after all. If it was, you know, an inch narrower, maybe I might be able to trim it down. We'll see. But that's where we're at. It's coming along. I'm happy to have this Airbox just about done. I've been kind of putting it off, and now that it's there, I'm really running out of room in this engine bay, but it's all fitting.